these are called portraits. These pictures of people, and these people who get their portraits taken, they probably have a lot of money or power, and they want to show off that they have money and power, so they try to look very serious. They try to look as though they have a lot of money. They have, this gentleman has his gold chains, right? His big beard. This person's holding a flower. Over here, we've got somebody hanging out. He's got some fine clothes, a hat, right? There's a lady, and then there's the background with nature and the fields, goats, and things of that nature. Now, I wish we could read what it says there. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit. Oh, we can. Perfect. Okay, so let's zoom in. And here are the cards that explain what the paintings mean or give us some background information. And I don't know how well you can see this, but there are two languages on the card, two languages on each card. The top is in Dutch, and then the bottom appears to be in English. So, for example, going from the left to the right, going from the top to the bottom, we have the Dutch and the English, and then the three paintings. So, for example, this one on the right, Portrait of an Unknown Woman. And what does that say? It's hard to read. I guess we're gonna have to look at this one in the middle here. It says Portrait of an African Man. And where's that portrait of the African man? Up here. So there it is, this portrait of an African man. And let's see what they can tell us about this portrait. It says, this is the only known portrait of a black man in early European painting. He may have served at the Brussels court of Emperor Charles V, who had a black archer called Christopher Lemour among his bodyguards. The badge of the Virgin on his cap is something of a pilgrimage. That means when you go somewhere for a religious reason to somewhere, a favorite destination of pilgrims from the Brussels court. So Brussels is the capital of Belgium. So as we said, he's an important guy. He works with the emperor. He's got a shield, a special symbol on his hat, a sword down here, right? Let's keep it moving. So we're gonna zoom out a little bit so we can see where we're going. Okay, and we'll keep walking. So now that we got one level done here, maybe we should make another try at going back into the art museum, shall we? Let's take a look at some more paintings. So we're back in this courtyard. Get the tickets over there. Bibliothèque, library. Let's go up this way. Let's see where we can go. So here are two people. Let's see what it says here. We'll zoom in to read about this. What does it say? It says Isaac and Rebecca. Say something bride. I don't know. It's hard to read some of these signs here, but you can see, look at the texture of the paint. It's very thick, and you can see each stroke from the brush and the little cracks that emerge, and the oil reflects the light, right? This is probably another painting that would be oil on a wood panel, and they're trying to get that really specific texture that's so famous in Dutch painting. Over here, what's going on? Whoa, look at this. Looks like we've got, what do you see here? Got some swords and This person's probably like a king or something. And look at this. What do we see? Another triangle, right? Showing us where to look. And let's see if we can read this information here about what this says. Nope, can't read that. But there was another sign if we look over here. Okay. So it says the Batavians. Okay. So we got the Dutch explanation up above, and then the English explanation down below. And it says the it says the Batavians. Sorry. It says the Batavians lived in the, where did they live? Come on, Batavians. I want to learn about the Batavians. Lived in the something at the beginning of the, can't read what it says. Well, let's just admire this painting one more time. Come on, Batavians. There we go. So what do you notice about all the people in this painting? So look at the way the light kind of glows from where the swords are, right? It's as if the swords are on fire practically, and you can see the light reflecting off the figures, how it's dark in the corners. This person looks pretty happy. Um, they're excited to be watching whatever's going on here. But these people look much more worried, right? It's unclear why. Maybe they're planning for some kind of rebellion. And maybe this explanation here will give us some more insight. There we go. So the Batavians, they lived in the Rhine Delta, that's part of a river valley, at the beginning of the Common Era. They were allies of the Romans, but were increasingly treated as subordinates. Led by Claudius Civilis, a former officer in the Roman army, they rebelled. The Batavians' story struck a sympathetic chord from around 1600 in the nascent Dutch Republic, which had thrown off Spanish oppression. Jurist, what does that say? Hugo de Groot wrote about the Batavian Rebellion in 1610. It provided historical justification for the revolt against Spain and established a past 1600-year history for the new republic. The Dutch had always fought for their freedom. The Batavian Rebellion often featured in art, and a large series was also planned for the new town hall, now the Palace on Dam Square, in Amsterdam. Let's say Governor Flink was granted the commission, but died shortly thereafter in 1660. Rembrandt was then engaged to paint the conspiracy. However, his work was rejected. He took a knife to the 5.5 by 5.5 meter large canvas, drastically cutting it down to its present size. So what I'm trying to figure out now is, does that mean that this painting on the wall is in fact a Rembrandt painting? It does look like Rembrandt's paintings. It's got a similar brush stroke here. Rembrandt is considered a famous painter. Now you can see, so this is what's going on. They're getting ready for their rebellion, and they are thinking about overthrowing the Spanish oppression. There's some other country that's ruling them. In this case, they were thinking about overthrowing the Romans way back in the beginning of the Common Era. And then when this painting was made in the 1600s, I guess the Dutch were trying to be their own country. They used to be ruled by the Spanish monarchy, king and queen. So look at this still life, it's called, of some flowers. It's called a still life because there isn't really anything moving, right? But once again, look at this triangle. Look at the way the flowers sort of make a triangle up that way. And let's see if we can read this with this. Whoops. Where'd it go? Let's try to go back there. Let's take a look at this card here, see if we can read what it says. It says floral still life, and it was painted by someone named Hans Bollinger, who lived from 1598 to 1672. So if he lived from 1598 to 1672, can you tell me how old he was? How old he lived to be? How many years? You can do that math, that mental math in your head. It says this exuberant bouquet of flowers may look natural, but tulips, anemones, roses, and carnations do not all bloom at the same time. So there are different kinds of flowers, but they're all in bloom, which makes it seem as though Hans was doing a little trickery here when he was painting this. Okay. Bollinger nevertheless managed to assemble a balanced composition. Balanced composition, remember those triangles? The still life was painted shortly after the Dutch stock market crashed in 1627, when many people went bankrupt. They went bankrupt. That meant they had no money. They went bankrupt due to the speculation in tulip bulbs. This was a real thing that happened back in the 17th century. People were spending a lot of money on tulip bulbs, the things that grow tulips, and they were thinking, oh, this tulips are going to be a good thing. I want it, you want it, he wants it, she wants it, they all want it. So we'll keep buying and buying and buying. We'll make a lot of money. And then so many people bought these tulips. They were putting all this money into these things that weren't worth that much money. And then they weren't worth that much money anymore. It's getting to be about time to go here. So I wish you all a happy Field Trip Friday. Enjoy the weekend. And take care of one another. Be safe. This is Mr. Green signing off. We're back in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And goodbye.